All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA betting video. Going to be breaking on all the best bets for today on Saturday in the NBA. Also, it is a college basketball Saturday, so we'll be talking about that. But first, we're going to go ahead and get into a quick recap from yesterday. So, guys, yesterday I ended up giving out 3 total bets, bet of the day slips. The underdog bet slip ended up going 3 for 3. We had one prize pick slip, ended up going 2 for 6. The college basketball players did not come through for us there. Hopefully they come through for us today. And then we also went 5 for 7 from the earlier video, which is basically this video where I'm going through the game-by-game breakdown. So overall, a pretty decent day. 10 for 16 on the day. Hopefully we can keep that up for you guys today. And we'll go ahead and start out here with the Pelicans, guys, which is going to be the opening game on tonight's slate. A little bit of an earlier game going against Brooklyn. And I do want to call it the close game total. This is appealing to me, 3.4 for the spread. Over and under, not great, 227 and 0.3 on average. But Trey Murphy is kind of interesting to me. This is a more traditional sportsbook bet. And so I mentioned this a bunch, but there's always a difference between PrizePicks and underdog prop bets or DFS prop bets and traditional sportsbook bets, because this would end up being a terrible bet on PrizePicks or underdog or sites like that, because the under has a 51.7% chance that I actually think taking the over on traditional sites where you are going to get a slightly, boosted payout where it's a little bit of a plus money bet. I like that bet a little bit more. Okay. So part of the reason why I like this is because of who is out for the Pelicans. So we know Zion's out. We know Herbert Jones is out. Yusuf, their center, could also be out as well. If you look at the production that Trey Murphy has with those players off the court, he does average about 24 points per 36 with them off the court. And now we only am projected for 34 minutes. I do think that number could end up being a little bit higher, again, assuming that this game does stay close. Now, another kind of interesting bet would be his over rebounds as well. With those players off the court, he actually averages 8.4. And so I was actually trying to get to maybe his points and rebounds, which I don't mind. I think this ends up being a pretty good bet as well. Again, all these are going to be better traditional sportsbook bets rather than PrizePicks or underdog bets. And then we also need to talk about Bay, who has been someone we've been on a decent amount this year for his overs, and I don't really get why his lines haven't come up. I know the game total's low, and I would assume that's the reason as to why. His per 36 production with those players off the court is 21 points per 36, 7.1 rebounds, and only 2.7 assists. So not necessarily a lot of assists. We see the splits have been great. Okay, away games maybe struggles there. That's a slight worry. Has only hit the over in 30% of away games. Interesting there. But we really care about what he's done recently, and especially with those players off the court. He has seen a big bump in his usage, and I do think we can project him to get 36 minutes. This is one of my favorite bets on the board today. Do we want to place it on PrizePicks or underdog? I don't know. It has about a 50% chance to, ideally we'd want to get to a little bit higher of a bet, but overall still not a bad spot as well. I think we can get to it there still. But for now, we'll go with the points, rebounds, and assists. I will include that here in the bet of the day. And then are there any other bets that we can get into here for the Pelicans? Well, for that, I'm just going to get into the game total or the game bets here instead. And we are getting an interesting one, guys. Jordan Hawkins to get under his fantasy score, which to me, I don't necessarily love. He should be in for a little bit more run. You look at the last game, he was able to get his over mostly because he got a block for his fantasy score. I'm just going to stay away from this one. I think there's a chance that he could end up getting more than the projected minutes we have him at. Vegas obviously doesn't think he'll be able to get the over as well, but I don't know. It's such a low line, and I don't want to mess with him potentially getting more minutes. I do kind of like this Jeremiah Fears bet to get over his fantasy score, about a 53% chance for this to hit. And so what I'm noticing here is that we are probably getting some pretty good game stacks for the Pelicans, at least. I think we have 3 pretty good bets where we're happy that the game is projected to stay close. If it does, that does give us a better opportunity for these bets to hit. And so I think we could do a little bit of a Pelican stack. We do have Derek Queen for over his points and assists. This would be great if we knew he wasn't going to get into foul trouble. That's always the concern with him, which obviously impacts his minutes. I'm not going to bet on Queen because that is too much of a risk to me with the amount of fouls he gets. Let's go ahead and get into Brooklyn. So we are seeing Man for under his 3.5 rebounds is a plus EV bet, 54% chance to hit. If you guys are betting on PrizePicks or underdog, that ends up being a good bet. I know people are not going to like the game log, but still, it's tough to ignore a plus EV bet. So that's a decent one. And then, I don't mind the idea of getting to Michael Porter if we were going to run it back. It's a good matchup that he has, and we know he's going to shoot the basketball a bunch. It's just whether or not he's going to make the shots. He could have a cold night shooting, which could impact obviously him getting his over. But I don't necessarily have a bet to run it back with Brooklyn. So let's go ahead now and jump on into the next game, which is going to be the Hawks versus the Wizards. So guys, for the Wizards, it's tough to really give you guys a breakdown because Chris Middleton's questionable. They're big. Tristan is questionable. Cam Whitmore is questionable. If those players play, like it does really kind of impact this game. Atlanta is 9.5-point favorites in this game. We do know that for the Wizards, they still are without Kispert, Sarr, and Coulibaly, which is good stuff for us. But what I really want to do here is I want to go with the filter call-up bets. So we're just going to look at the best bets and the ideal bets that we are getting here, guys. Are we getting bets that check the boxes? And we are getting some under bets. Now, Jalen Johnson has been crushing lately. I don't know if you guys would want to get to this under bet. It is a back and a back-to-back for what it's worth. Maybe that's something that you like a little bit more there. And we are seeing Dyson Daniels for his under 25.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I would say this is a better bet. I don't hate this bet. I think we could potentially get to that, but really none of those seem all too worthwhile to me. So we'll go ahead and jump back into the best bets, or just the board here. Luke Kennard, again, not someone we really want to mess with. Vit, not someone we really want to mess with as well. He does get a good matchup though. Keyshawn George, just not really good stuff when we look into all these bets. And so I think for the most part, we are mostly staying away from the bets that we were getting in this Atlanta versus Washington game. Maybe things will change once we get some more bets coming in, once we get some more confirmation on Washington. And so now let's go heading into the Bucks versus the Pistons, guys. So unfortunately for me, being a Bucks fan, AJ Green also got banged up yesterday. I want to see one game with my Bucks at full strength. If we could get a freaking week's worth of that, I mean, could you imagine? That'd be fun as a Bucks fan. No, Giannis is still out. AJ Green is looking like he's going to end up sitting as well, and so we kind of know what to expect, guys. Is that like Kevin Porter is going to pick up a lot of usage. He was someone on our bet of the day yesterday, as well as Ryan Rollins, who I had in at the end of the video vocally, just as an FYI. I don't mind Kevin Porter Jr. I think the lines that we're getting on him are still a little bit too low. Now, we don't have the best sample size for him with AJ Green off the court and Giannis off the court. Okay. But per 36 wise, it's a skewed sample. I'm going to state that. But the per 36 production is 32.2 points, 6.1 rebounds, and 6.1 assists. Now, the concern is that they are 12.5-point dogs. Now, they were able to beat Detroit recently, guys. And that was a game in which Kevin Porter did go off. And in that game, guys, he did go off. Now, the Bucks were able to come back mostly because AJ Green was going off as well. And so with him being out, I do think that this point spread is going to end up being accurate. And so it is tough to really say that. I mean, I think Kevin Porter Jr. will end up getting those projected minutes that he is at, maybe even more if the game stays close, but there's a higher likelihood for it to end up being a blowout. I still think it's fine to roll with him. I think that line is too low for him. And then same thing with Ryan Rollins as well, guys. Ryan Rollins is going to have a lot of usage here as well. Now, the data isn't going to necessarily like this. I think we do get to this one. Now, his lines are probably correct, whereas yesterday they were a little bit too low. He is someone that I would prefer get to his over fantasy score if we end up getting that at about like 35.5. His fantasy score per 36 is 41 points per 36. He has about a 27% usage rate, which is obviously pretty good. So I guess with Rollins, the lines are probably adjusted, whereas Kevin Porter Jr., they're not. And then we do need to talk about like Kyle Kuzma and also Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis is someone that should be able to get them over as well. He's going to shoot a lot with them off the court, guys. He does average about 19 shot attempts per 36 with Giannis and AJ Green off the court, but we just can't really rely on him to get a lot of minutes. And then one bet that could potentially be like a bet that you tease a little bit, or juice up a little bit, I should say, would be Gary Trent to get over 9.5 points. This is just a bet on his minutes being higher than what he's projected to get. So right now we have him projected at 22 minutes. His per 36 production is closer to 14. So for me, he's kind of the natural replacement for AJ Green. So like if AJ Green is indeed out, which I'm kind of expecting, then Gary Trent should be able to get that over there. And then lastly, they are going to have to lean on Miles Turner tonight. And so his over 12.5 points does have a 52% likelihood to hit. He should be in line to get enough minutes like that. Strangely enough, guys, he does only average 10.2 points per 36 with Giannis and AJ Green off the court, though. And so it's not necessarily a bet that I need to go out of my way to target. Now we jump on in to Detroit, guys. Duncan Robinson has been interesting. This has a 53% chance to hit him to get over 11.5 points and assists. And I do think this ends up being a decent bet. He is someone that has gotten a lot of run. And we do like the matchup here for him as well. I'm fine getting to this over. You know, if he ends up going cold shooting, kind of we know that's the risk with him. Like, he's going to get a decent amount of shot attempts up, not a bunch, not a ton. We're hoping for 10. If he does get that, then he should be able to get his over. Azir Thompson to get over his points and rebounds, not terrible there as well at 15.5. We see recently game log pretty good. All the other data points are telling us that this is a pretty good bet for him as well. Not a bad spot for him. I do like the Duncan Robinson one a little bit more, but really both are pretty solid. Tobias Harris is a bet that's kind of checking all the boxes for us as well. Again, not terrible. He did get the over again in that game against the Bucks, getting 5 in that game. Consistently kind of averaging the over as well. And so I think we're okay with that. And then it is worth calling out as well, guys, one other Bucks bet, and that's going to be Jericho Sims. Okay, Jericho Sims actually went off in this last game against Detroit. I would imagine they would try to look to that kind of workload again for him. He has had 30 minutes in the last 2 games. Only 1 shot attempt last night, but he had 9 rebounds in that game. So he did play a lot. And actually, let's dive into that one a little bit more here. Sims, are we getting any rebounds bets for him? 7 rebounds? That's probably correct. I don't know. That's a little bit appealing though, just to get over 7 rebounds. I think I'd be fine with that. But I mean, let's get a couple more lobs to Jericho Sims in there. I feel like this should be the bet. I mean, it's crazy for a guy to only get 1 shot attempt right off of 9 rebounds, 3 of them being offensive rebounds. Like, that's a little crazy. And even if it's a blowout, he is someone that should get run. Like, it's his minutes, I wouldn't say are perfectly secure, but just looking at this rebounds, I think we got to get there, guys. I do. And then let's go ahead and get into Cleveland versus Golden State, which is a tougher game as well. I will say, just Cleveland guys, Darius Garland is probable, LaMelo Ball questionable. Sam Merrill doubtful. We do know that Jared Allen is still out, so that's helpful for Golden State. Jimmy Butler questionable, Draymond Green questionable, Curry questionable. Now, we are getting props for basically all those players, but it is tough to tell you guys what to do just because we aren't getting those bets. Evan Mobley is someone that should be able to go off in this matchup, but I don't mind it, especially with all those players being out. Darius Garland, if he does get enough minutes, which I don't know if we can necessarily trust that, he should be able to get this over. But again, I don't necessarily like it. He has somewhat struggled recently. And so I just think we don't mess with it. Now, Jalen Tyson's kind of an interesting one. He was someone that was on our bet of the day yesterday, and that was with Darius Garland sitting on that front end of the back-to-back. But with Garland back, I'm a little bit hesitant to get to this. If he does end up getting 29 minutes, like, he should be able to get the over. Like, I would be comfortable still probably betting on him, but there's a little bit of hesitation here. Like, he has still gotten the minutes with Jared Allen off the court. So a little bit risky, but I also could see potentially get into that. And let's just go ahead and see, are we getting any bets that do check all the boxes again? So we're going to get into the best bets and ideal bets. We're not going to get any ideal bets because none of the bets are popping up as a 54% likelihood to hit. But we'll talk about Evan Mobley here. Under 18.5 points, does have a 50-50 split. We do see game log kind of points to him potentially getting this under as well. They are favorites to win, and it is a lower scoring game, so maybe blowout run causes him to not. With Darius Garland off the court, that does shift a little bit of usage away from Mobley as well. So I could see that bet hitting, but not necessarily a bet I feel like we need to go out of our way to target as well. And so with that, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Clippers. So good thing for the Timberwolves, guys, they are healthy. Okay. The bad thing for us is that does leave us limited with which bets we can get to. When we sort it by the, again, the filter calls, best bets and ideal bets, John Collins for under his PRA is popping up to get under 20.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He is someone that it just depends on the minutes. I think he has a better chance to maybe get some additional minutes here going against Minnesota. Projected for 28 minutes. We see recently 25, 32, 25, 30. And it is the matchup with Minnesota where, we got Randall there, you got Naz Reid, you got Rudy Gobert. So probably not a bet that I feel like we need to get into, but nice to see that the data is telling us to bet the under. We look at all the data points as well. Does average the over in away games, guys. 77% hit rate, actually. Has been consistently getting the under. But again, it just really depends on the minutes. And I think there's a decent chance that he does end up getting a little bit more run tonight. So go ahead and just look at some of these other bets that we were getting here as well. Pull up Julius Randle. Under 5.5 assists has about a 53% chance that if you guys want to get to that, you can. Jaden McDaniels to get under 4.5 rebounds, decent bet. Like, we're just getting some okay looks here, but none that I feel like we necessarily need to go out of our way to target. Dante DiVincenzo has been playing well. It is worth calling this out. If they are going to win by 10.5 points or so, and does draw a good matchup, I could see getting to this one. Like, this is appealing. I could see this one. 52% likely for the over. I'm going to go ahead and include that in the bet of the day, but it is still a tight one. Like, it's not necessarily lock and load. Rudy Gobert has been playing better recently. Not a terrible bet to get to him for him as well. 52% chance for that one to hit. But really, guys, not too much here. Maybe Rudy Gobert for over his points, rebounds, which is probably the safer bet with him. So a couple of decent ones, but also nothing too crazy here. And with that, we'll go ahead and jump on into the next game, Kings versus Heat. All right, so now let's go ahead and get into the Miami Heat, guys, versus the Kings. The player that I like the most is going to be Norman Powell. Per 36-wise, with Tyler Hero off the court, who is out, Norman Powell averages 30 points, 30.1 points. And we're getting his points, rebounds, and assists at 50. Now, you might see his projection and see 31 minutes. Okay. I think there's a chance that he ends up getting more than that. We have seen him get more than that this year. Not too much. But it is an appealing matchup against the Kings where it's a higher scoring game as well. So even if he does end up getting only 31 minutes, there's a good chance that with this high scoring game that he's part of the reason as to why it's a high scoring game. Now, he doesn't get that many assists. He only averages about 2.8 assists and does average 4.3 rebounds. So it's not like he necessarily dominates there. If you just wanted to go with his points of 24.5 for the over, you could do that there as well. I just like banking in the points, rebounds, and assists a little bit more there. I think that ends up being the better bet for us. And so I'm going to go ahead and bet more. This is a 50-50 split, probably a better traditional sportsbook bet. He's someone I want to be on the lookout, though, for his fantasy score as well. I would imagine if it's under 34, I would definitely bet that. If it's at like 34.5, I probably still would bet that, but I would refer to what the data is telling us there as well. Another player that should be in for a good game as well is going to be Jaime Jaquez here for the Miami Heat. Now, you're going to look at his game log, not like the game log, but when we look at the last 20 and away games, we do like it a little bit more. Overview-wise, all the data points are telling us to bet the over, which I agree with. And you look at his per 36 production with Hero off the court, averages 19.6 points, 7.5 rebounds, 6.3 assists. He goes off. And so I think that ends up being one of the best that we need to be targeting here as well. If you just want to go with his rebounds and assists, you could. Don't hate that. Assuming that the minutes are correct, his lines are just simply too low. Heck, his points is a bet that you could, let's actually see here. Demon bet points, 14.5. Again, he averages 19.6 points per 36 with Tyler Hero off the court. And so I really don't mind that. I think that ends up being a decent bet for us there if you guys want to get to that. I'm not saying we necessarily need to, but worth calling that out. Now, guys, who the player that gets the most minutes is Davion Mitchell with Tyler Hero off the court. He does average 3.3 rebounds per 36, so worth calling that out. Wiggins is someone that if Powell and or Jaquez do not have a good game, it's probably just because Wiggins is making the buckets and they're just deferring to him, which could happen. We know that. And then Bam as well, guys. We haven't seen Bam play all too much. Oh, never mind. He's been healthy for quite a bit here. There's a stretch where was getting a lot of run for the Heat. But like Bam is someone that could also go off it here as well. Like in a game stack, again, where we're trying to maybe target this high scoring game, I could see getting to that. But to me, guys, Jaquez, Powell are the two I want to get to. Hopefully they don't have cold nights shooting. And then for the Kings. So we do know that Sabonis is out and Dennis Schroeder is out as well for the Kings. And so the player that, does probably benefit the most is Russell Westbrook, guys. His usage rate is at about 26%, goes up about 3% with those players off the court. His fantasy points per 36 go up by 3.8. His points go up by 1.3. Rebounds go up by 0.5. Assists go up by 2. And so he is someone that definitely benefits with those two players off the court. And so you might like the idea of betting on his over points, rebounds, and assists here of 28.5. Per 36 wise, we probably, that data is nice to see, but I don't think it's likely for him to get 36 minutes. Per 36 wise, 18 points, 9.2 rebounds, 9.8 assists. And so again, if we're trying to do a game stack here, I probably do end up liking the over bet here. Lately, he has been getting a lot more assists, but we know with Westbrook, it can be a little bit random in regards to how well he does. Maybe we get to his over points of 13.5, 2 games in which he hasn't necessarily shot the basketball well. Could be a little bit of a better game for him here. I do like the bets for him. Not necessarily locking those, but not terrible. Now, Malik Monk is kind of an interesting one here as well, guys. Getting 28 projected minutes, but over the last couple of games, 30 and 34. If we look at his splits, we can see that really matters. If he does end up getting closer to 30 minutes, he should be able to get this over as well. The data points are kind of telling us to bet the unders here, so not necessarily a bet that we want to target, but definitely worth calling out to you guys. And that is worth calling out, guys. Like DeMar DeRozan for his over points and assists is a bet that's kind of popping up as a good bet, or his over points. If you guys want to get to that, you definitely can. About a 52% chance that we do see game log, not necessarily the best over the past couple of games, only 23 minutes in the last game. Now, obviously, we don't like that. We do need his minutes to be closer to the 35 that he's projected to get. If he does end up getting those minutes, obviously, we like that there. And that's a bet I'm okay getting to for tonight's slate. And then, guys, jumping on into the last game for tonight, Houston versus Dallas. So, Sengun is currently questionable. Okay, so he had an illness on Friday. I tend to believe that he'll probably play if it's an illness. Typically they're not out for 2 games. He has been someone that has been playing better recently. And it's a game in which they're 9-point favorites. Now, it is a game that's pretty low scoring, so we don't like that, but a pretty solid matchup for him. And so I'm a little bit more inclined to get to his over here. If he ends up sitting kind of, then it's just a DNP for a bet. For Dallas, guys, Anthony Davis is going to be active. Parker Washington questionable, Daniel Gafford questionable. And so Davis would need to go off and have a decent game here. His minutes have been, not to what we desire. Projected to get 32 minutes. If he does get that, then we would probably think that he would be able to get his over points and assists. That's just, they've been bad. Dallas has been bad. Max Christie, don't hate him to get over 13.5 points, rebounds, and assists, but also not a bet that I feel like we need to target. And so this is kind of a game where I'm punting a little bit. Let's see. Best bets and ideal bets. We were getting a lot of under bets here. Cooper Flight to get under 6.5 rebounds. If Washington and also Gafford are active, then I think that actually does hurt Flag a little bit. So I could see getting to that. Amon Thompson to get under his 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I mean, not terrible. Just given the fact that's a low-scoring game and below potential, that could hurt his minutes. Klay Thompson finally did have that regression game, only playing in 18 minutes as well. And then Cooper Flight to get under 16.5 points is a bet that's casually popping up as well. And so as I was going to give you guys the bet of the day, PrizePicks has bumped these 2 up. It's the annoying part of giving you guys prop betting data. So we're not going to be doing those 2. If they're available for whichever site you guys bet on, maybe Pick 6, Sleeper, Underdog, any other traditional site, I still like them at their original lines. But now, because they're bumped up, now don't really need to get to them. Annoying. That's the life of giving you guys betting content for NBA specifically. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into that NBA bet of the day here, guys. Then we're going to jump into some college basketball props. So I do really like the 2 Miami bets that we are getting here today, guys. Powell and then Jaquez for over their PRAs. I think those are 2 pretty solid bets. Sengun does have a potential to end up sitting. It is a lower scoring game, so if you didn't want to get to that one, I understand. Duncan Robinson, it's just a little bit too low of a line. If this gets bumped to 12, honestly, I just probably wouldn't bet it. Slight edge there for us. And then I went with Sims over Kevin Porter in that Bucks game. I don't mind Kevin Porter. I still think it's a pretty good bet for him to get over his PRA. If you guys want to get to that, by all means. I just think with the potential for the blowout risk with AJ Green also being out, that Sims should be able to get the minutes that we have projected to get, or at least 30 minutes, which is what he has gone the past 2 games. And then betting on Bay to continue to go off. Again, we have a very good stacking opportunity in that Pelicans game. Go back and listen to that part of the video if you guys forget that, because I do think that's a good opportunity just in general, is to stack that game, specifically the Pelicans. And then, guys, jumping into some college basketball bets. We are getting Connor Way to get over his fantasy score of 22.5. Now, we will begin some underdog bets, I would assume, for fantasy score. They've been so slow with them. Typically speaking, on a Saturday, they would already have them out by the time I'm recording a video like this. A lot of the times, it's 2 hours before lineup block, and so I would say 3 hours before lineup block for a lot of games. And so a little bit annoying here, but this ends up being a pretty good bet for us, guys. The projection data also likes the over. And then we do have one here with Carr for under his fantasy score of 22.5. Not necessarily a bet that I love. One that I do really like is John Blackwell to get over his fantasy score here of 31.5. The average sports line at 34, the projection data at 35. The reason why I like this one is because he is someone that typically does shoot the basketball a bunch, which does mean if he has a cold night shooting, then he's not going to get the over. That is in the realm of possibilities for him, but the shot attempts should be there for him. And if he's even making, his average shot attempts, I do like the fact that he should be able to get the over then. This line is too low. Be on the lookout, guys, for some of these underdog lines. I'll do a 2-slip bet here as well for these 2 specifically for, let's just say, a secondary college basketball bet. And it is worth calling out, guys. I've seen a lot of plus EV bets come in and out for college basketball already today. So just be on the lookout for those bets updating on the 9to5 cheat sheet throughout the day today, guys. And if you guys are someone that maybe wants access to all the 9to5sports.com tools, head over to 9to5sports.com. You guys can get access to all the tools available on the website. head on over to 9to5sports.com. You guys, you can head on to the pricing and plans tab. Sign up for all the tools for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. That's going to do it, though, for this video, guys. Appreciate you being here. Good luck with all your lineups. And as always, let's keep cashing.